Xbox Series S versus Xbox One X. Which of the two is the most powerful? Let's start with the processor. The two have 8-core processors. However, the similarities end here. The lithograph of the Jaguar processor on Xbox One X is very outdated, an architecture that, in 2013, was already out of order. 16 nanometers based on the bulldozer architecture of 2011, present in AMD processors of the FX line. On PCs, the most equivalent model is the FX 8300 that operates at 3.3 GHz. On One X, the frequency is lower than on PCs operating at 2.3 GHz. The lithograph of the Series S processor is 7 nm and the most modern currently on computer chips. The same present in the Ryzen 3000 family. On PCs, the equivalent processor is the Ryzen 7 3700X that operates 3.6 GHz. Series S also operates at 3.6 GHz. Both use AMD's Zen 2 architecture. Explaining how processor architectures work. Usually when a new generation is released, the performance and efficiency gain over the previous one is 30 to 40%. The bulldozer architecture of the Xbox One X is 3 generations earlier than the Series S. So even having the same number of cores does not mean equivalent performance, because the evolution of generations of processors made the Series S have a processor with twice the power of its predecessor. Now, let's talk about the GPU. Xbox One X has a GPU based on the GCN architecture with some features of the Polaris architecture, with 40 computational cores, operating at 1172 GHz, with 6 teraflops. Its equivalent in the PC world is a GTX 1070 Ti of 6.5 teraflops. The Series S has an RDNA 2 microarchitecture-based GPU, capable of running ray tracing. The number of computational cores should come with 26 operating at 1825 GHz according to rumors. The gross power, according to GPU rumors, is 4 teraflops. The equivalent video card on PCs would be the RTX 2060, which operates with 7 teraflops. We know that NVIDIA no longer uses the unit of measurement of teraflops on its video cards, but you can find this number comparing its equivalent in the competition. In this case, the AMD RX 5600 XT, which has similar performance and has 7 teraflops. Here we must emphasize that RDNA 2 microarchitecture is 3x more efficient than GCN, so 26 cores equals 52 GCN cores present on Xbox One X. But the same thing occurs as the case of cores. 4 teraflops in RDNA 2 microarchives would be the equivalent of 8 teraflops of GCN. RAM. The Xbox One X has 12 GB GDDR5 with a 326 GB per second band, of which 9 GB is dedicated to the games and 3 GB dedicated to the system. The Series S reportedly would have 7 GB dedicated to the games, so this leads us to believe that it will have a total of 10 GB GDDR6, with 3 GB dedicated to the system. The memory band is very superior to Xbox One X, because here it operates for 560 GB per second, almost twice the band of the One X. So the 7 GB dedicated to gaming here equates to 13, almost 14 GB GDDR5 Xbox One X, remembering that the One X only has 9 GB dedicated to games. Storage. This is where the Xbox One X suffers its biggest defeat. It features a 2 TB mechanical HD that operates at 5,400 RPM. That is a very slow HD that overloads RAM to compensate for its slowness. Its throughput is 120 megabytes per second. The biggest win of the S series lies here. It has the same NVMe SSD as Series X, with a throughput of 2.4 GB up to 4.8 GB per second. With such fast storage, there is no need to overload RAM. The Series S has a different proposition to that of the Xbox One X, that the focus was to run 4K games. The S series, even being more powerful, targets at 1440p resolution to have resources left over to run ray tracing and higher frame rate. Another point that makes Microsoft not aim at 4K is that with new technologies like Lumen from Unreal Engine 5, Even running at 1440p, the games will be using textures in 4K. The result is that when viewed in 4K screens, the difference between 1440p and 4K is imperceptible. So let's get to the conclusion. The Series S is superior to the One X in every way, and even without the 4K it pays off by delivering ray tracing and 4K textures. That's why it's natural to abandon the One X.